of the horse fair, and I first saw it at a 2-inch by 2-inch etching on that reader, and it was to me like this religious experience. I mean, it was just a wonderful thing to see this thing in person. And those are the kind of inspiring things, because in order to have ganas, in order to want to do things, you have to be inspired. You have to have that passion, especially in the sciences. As I said, science, to do it well, to rise to the highest levels, is fairly abusive. And you have to sustain. You have to get through that. Just a couple of little stories I want to tell you, just to show you that are not in the book, my involvement in this area. I was invited by a teacher I knew who taught at Pacoima schools in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles, to come and talk to her 3rd grade class about staying in school. I said, well, what do you want me to say? She said, well, I don't know. She said, just tell them to stay in school. And I thought, gee, like these students haven't been told that they should stay in school? That's not going to make any difference. So I get there, and then they had 3 teachers had put together all of their 3rd graders. And so I had this auditorium full of kids. And I'm saying, geez, you know, what am I going to do here? So at the spur of the moment, I got inspired, and I said, okay, you know, we're going to talk about jobs. You know, kind of, you know, perked up. That was an unusual thing to hear for them. I said, we're going to talk about jobs. I want you to tell me what jobs you know about. And they started raising it, you know, janitor, you know. All the things that their parents did came out, you know, the various low-level kind of works that they were involved in. And so I said, okay, that's interesting. That's a whole bunch of them. And so tell me about what's possible when you have these jobs. You get like a 3-week paid vacation? Oh, no, miss. Jeez. Sorry. No. And do you get fired if you don't show up for work because your kid is sick? Yes, ma'am, you do. And so we went through this lifestyle thing about what was possible with jobs. And I said, okay, well, we know what jobs are. What about careers? What are careers? And so we did the same thing for careers. And if you're a doctor and your kid is sick and you have to say to your kid, do you get fired? They didn't know. No, you don't get fired. So at the end of this little exploration, I said, well, gee, it looks to me like maybe it's better to have a career than to have a job. So what do you think? What do you need to do? You have to stay in school, miss. So, you know, they're not dumb. They just haven't been talked to with information based on what they already know. And they know life. You know, it's very real to them. The other, and I'll be quick, is this little exercise that I gave to my class at UCLA, where I was teaching a little freshman seminar called Biomedical Research Issues in Minority Communities. And I did it just to draw in minority students, and then I kind of grabbed them and taught them about what science is. And we went through peer review, we went through credentialing, went through authorities, we went through fundraising, conflict of interest. We touched on a lot of issues that they don't normally get in the normal curriculum. And at the end, I said, okay, what you're going to do now is you have an exercise. You can work in a team. It's going to be a PowerPoint presentation, and you're going to illustrate something that is science or something that is not science. So they all picked different things. And I had 3 women, 3 Chicanas, who came up to me and said that they wanted to do it. And they came up in a whisper and they said, we want to do it on breast enhancement lotions. And I said, really? And they said, yes. And I said, well, I never heard of such a thing. Oh, yes, ma'am. They told me where they could get them and all that. I said, well, you know the rules. Go for it, you know. Me and those kids did a fabulous job. I mean, they looked at the literature, they did this, they did that, and I said, see the power of science. It teaches you how to analyze, and it serves you no matter what the topic is. Science doesn't care what the topic is. It is a process of knowing. And I think those kids got it, and thank you very much.
Okay, is it on? I tend to be loud anyway. Actually, a lot of these discussions have been going on for a long time. Elma and I met back in '76. And we've discussed these issues, but probably Elma and I tend to be the least emotional. I'm loud, but I'm not that, weepy, unless I'm watching Lassie or something like that. But anyway, what I'd like to focus on is more, or at least get to going to the dark side, which I think will get to Laura's question to Juan about what has to be done at the university level to really change the core of what we do. I'm from Laredo. We're both from Laredo. Elma's from Heavenville. We're South Tejanas. But I grew up privileged. I went to Ursuline Academy and then Martin High School and graduated 50 years ago. So, this is in the 40s and 50s. So for a girl being raised at that time, my parents were, I think, quite liberal. And I ran around like a wild child. I lived near Chacon Creek, and I was always barefooted, so I was what they would call a tomboy. And my father just thought I was cute, and so I got away with a lot of things that a lot of women at that age didn't. One of the advantages that I see in growing up that way that I don't see in kids growing up today is that parents are so protective and don't let them explore and do things, and they're worse, I think, on little girls. So while things have changed for women, I'm not sure that that the environment today is very conducive to women taking risks or being outside and getting thrilled by being inquisitive and going into science. So I do have that concern because of the environment that parents are just so protected. I just look at my granddaughter, and my son-in-law wants to put her over a bubble and is even afraid for her to go out with her grandparents because we're going to let her do too many things. And I think that that's going to be a drawback. But anyway, I also then ended up going to school here in San Antonio at Incarnate Word College. And my high school teacher had graduated from Incarnate Word. She was a chemistry teacher, and this was one of the major mentors that got me going into the chemistry field. So I came into Incarnate Word, and Sister Mary Daniel was my chemistry teacher. She was 90 years old 3 weeks ago. But she's the one that took me and said, "You're going to go to graduate school." What did I know about graduate school? All I knew is that I wanted to go to college, get a bachelor's degree, and then go do research. I didn't know what that really meant. So an advantage was that back in the 60s, I did undergraduate research. When you didn't get paid, they didn't have any formal programs. I did an undergraduate research at Oak Ridge National Laboratories. That was paid, and they sent me there. So that experience, I think, shaped my career in the sciences and in going on. And to this day, I think involving students, even as early in high school, in hands-on science, and especially in college, is going to make a difference. But what happens at the universities is that professors seem to recruit students to work in their labs that kind of look like them. And